A signal from the forgotten planet. The listening station floated quietly in deep space, orbiting a small red dwarf star. It was cold, silent, and boring until the signal came. Technician Lauro was the first to see it. He had been half asleep, drinking his third cup of warm synth caf when his console beeped with a soft alert. He blinked, confused. It wasn't just background noise. It was a clear, repeating signal. The source? A small dead planet in the Sol system. Lauro frowned. No one lives there, he whispered. He tapped the panel, enlarged the feed, and watched. The data stream in. The signal repeated again. Steady, focused, and impossible to mistake. Someone or something was broadcasting from Earth. 3,000 years ago, Earth had gone dark. Everyone believed the humans were extinct. The last reports said their world had been torn by endless war, radiation storms, and collapse. Some said they had destroyed themselves. Others whispered they had fled, but no one really knew. The Galactic Union had locked the system under Red Class. Quarantine. No ship had gone near it in 3 millennia. Now, someone had turned on a transmitter there. By the time the message reached the Union Central Command, panic had already started. Ships rerouted. Emergency meetings called. Fear spread quickly because the message wasn't random. It was simple. It was terrifying. We are returning. That was all it said. Over and over, Commander Vik of the Virat Patrol Force stood in the center of the war room. Around him, large screens showed the solar system, focusing on the blue planet once called Earth. The signal pulsed like a heartbeat. His orders were clear. Investigate, confirm, and report. Vek's second in command, a slim officer named Mila, studied the data with wide eyes. If that's real, sir. If it's truly Earth, then it means humans didn't die. Vek nodded slowly. They didn't die. They vanished. Now they've come back. But for what? Mila whispered. No. One had the answer. A Virak cruiser Silent Edge dropped out of warp near the Sol system. The crew stared at the screen as they approached Earth. Everyone expected to see a dead rock, ruins, silence. But what they saw made them sit in shock. Earth was alive. Clouds moved over oceans. Green lands stretched across continents. Orbiting. The planet were dozens of satellites, space platforms, and one massive ring-shaped structure like a shipyard or a defense grid. It's not abandoned. Vek said. He ordered scans. Every scan was blocked. Their systems couldn't penetrate Earth's defenses. Something stronger was jamming them. Then another signal appeared. Not from the planet. From behind them. 12 ships had arrived, forming a silent wall behind the cruiser. No warp signature, no warning. Their hulls were black, sharp, and marked with symbols no one had seen in over 3,000 years. Human warships. They didn't broadcast messages. They didn't lock weapons. They just hovered, silent and patient. Vex. Crew panicked. Shields up. Charge weapons. Hold your fire. Vex shouted. They haven't moved yet. But then, one human ship powered up. Its engines glowed faint blue, and it transmitted the same 6 words again. We are returning. Stay away. Then it went quiet again. The Galactic Union held an emergency meeting the next day. Species from across the stars filled the massive hall, arguing, shouting, questioning. Historians were called, theologians, scientists. No one knew what this meant. They were dead. They exiled themselves. They evolved into something else. Or worse, one senator said in a whisper. They were always preparing. For this moment, everyone fell silent. What was Earth hiding? Why now? And why had they come back with warships? Back in the Sol system, the human fleet slowly moved toward Earth. They flew in complete silence. No signals, no diplomacy, no sound, just motion. Calm and certain. The Silent Edge watched from a distance. Commander Vec stared at the screen. He couldn't understand it. He had read stories of humans smart, emotional, brave, dangerous. But no one had believed they'd ever return. And now they had returned. Not to ask, not to explain. Just to come home. He felt a chill run down his back. Earth wasn't supposed to survive. Mila said quietly. Vec nodded. Maybe that's what we were supposed to believe. Asterisk. The myths of humanity long ago, before the stars were tamed. There was one species that made the galaxy tremble humans. But over time, their stories turned into myths. In the Galactic archives, deep under the Capitol Tower on Valen Prime. A group of scholars gathered. They were called the Keepers of Memory, the last ones who still studied ancient species. Elder Terran stood before a dusty holobook, titled Terran Records, Lost but Not Forgotten. He opened the pages and spoke softly. When the stars were young, they came from a blue world. They spread fast, too fast. No one could understand how they moved, built, and conquered. Others nodded. The younger keepers stared at the old. Pictures humans in metal suits, standing on alien soil, shaking hands, or holding weapons. They were fierce, Turan continued. They laughed in the face of danger. They formed alliances, broke empires, and loved like fire. But then they vanished, one young keeper said. The great silence. Turan's voice dropped lower. Double quotes. No. They didn't vanish. They chose to disappear. On the outer worlds, children grew up with bedtime stories about humans. They could turn moons into machines. They could breathe war and sing peace. They once defeated an entire fleet with just one ship. None knew if those were true. But one thing was always the same. You never wanted to make humans your enemy. That's why the Galactic Union had been careful to never search Earth after its fall. It was left alone, untouched, marked as a cursed planet. The galaxy feared what might be waiting there. And now, it was no longer silent. On the bridge of the cruiser Silent Edge, Commander Vec reviewed old records about Earth. Much had been deleted. What remained were fragments, videos of wars, peace talks, colonization, music, art, destruction. Mila watched with him. They built everything, she said, almost in awe. Then they broke everything. Vec didn't answer. He kept watching one short clip. A human captain standing in front of a burning city, yelling to the sky. We will not go quietly. We will not be forgotten. Then the video cut to static. Secret meeting was called inside the Galactic Council. Only the top leaders were invited. The Chancellor, the Defense High Command, and one strange guest archivist, Rilo, a half-blind alien who claimed to have once met a human. They laughed at first. But when Rilo showed them a necklace with the Earth emblem and whispered, "He gave this to me before disappearing into the stars," no one laughed again. Rilo's words sent chills through the chamber. They didn't run. They didn't hide. They waited. And now, they returned not as children of Earth, but as something else. Something greater. Meanwhile, back in soul space, the human fleet finally spoke again. This time, it wasn't a warning. It was a single data burst sent directly to every major world in the Galactic Union. Inside the burst was a message. You erased us from history. You watched as our name faded. But truth cannot be buried forever. We have not come for war. We have come for what was promised. No one knew what promise they meant, but panic spread across systems. Military fleets were prepared. Defensive. Walls activated. Old weapons were dusted off. The galaxy didn't know what humans wanted, and the unknown was the scariest part. On a research station orbiting Dalar 3, a linguist named Kara studied the human language day and night. She believed understanding their words might help avoid war. But the more she read, the more worried she became. Their history was filled with war, but also with hope, art, sacrifice, and powerful love. One line from an old Earth poem made her pause. Even in ashes, we remember who we are. Kara whispered. They never forgot, even if we did. Far away, on a forgotten moon near the border, a trader received a strange visitor. A tall figure in a black cloak offered him a small box, and said only, "Tell your council, the guardians have awakened." When the trader opened the box after the visitor vanished, he found a piece of Earth soil still warm. Back on the silent edge, Commander Vic watched Earth rotate slowly on the screen. He said nothing, just stared, because deep down he realized something terrifying. The galaxy didn't just forget humans. It had ignored a warning, and now the myths were no longer stories. They were coming true. Asterisk. Earth isn't what it used to be. The ship hovered at the edge of Earth's orbit. Commander Vec stood on the bridge of the silent edge, staring at the rotating blue planet on the screen. But something was wrong. This wasn't the Earth he had studied in history lessons. It wasn't the ruined, broken world described in the Galactic archives. It wasn't dead. It wasn't quiet. It was awake. Vast silver rings circled the planet like protective arms. Hundreds of satellites moved in perfect harmony. Energy pulses flickered through orbiting towers. Down on the surface, continents glowed faintly with blue patterns like circuits etched into the land itself. What is this? Mila whispered beside him. Vec zoomed in on the surface. What should have been cities of ruins were now shining. Towers made of unknown metals. Forests grew in perfect symmetry. Oceans moved in strange rhythms, like they were guided by something deep below. This isn't a planet, Vec muttered. It's a machine. The crew began scanning, but every attempt failed. We're being jammed, the sensor officer reported. Every scan reflects back false data. The planet's defending itself. Are you sure it's the planet? Mila asked. What if it single quotes the people? That thought made the bridge go quiet. In the galactic capital, panic grew louder. Dozens of Union worlds began preparing for conflict. Some believed humanity had turned Earth into a weapon. Others thought Earth was no longer human at all. Some believed Earth had become something greater. News spread fast. The human fleet had fully entered orbit. 12 black warships hovered over Earth like ancient guardians. No communication, no threats. Just silence, but silence felt worse than shouting. A few hours later, the silent edge received an unexpected signal. It came not from the human fleet, but from Earth itself. The message was short, but clear. Welcome home. Do not come closer. Commander Vec's hands froze on the control panel. Home? Mila looked at him. They think we belong here? No, he said slowly. I think they're talking to themselves. A new order came. From the Union, send the drone down to the surface. Vec launched a high-speed probe, armed with stealth tech and advanced sensors. It dropped through the clouds silently, vanishing into Earth's strange atmosphere. The crew watched the feed as the probe flew low over land. It passed forests where trees shimmered with golden leaves. It crossed mountains carved with glowing lines. It skimmed over oceans filled with floating platforms that rose and sank like breathing lungs. Then it saw them. People. Or at least they looked like people. Tall, graceful, eyes glowing faint blue. Their skin shimmered under the sun. They moved with calm purpose, working silently in gardens, towers, or sky docks. Some walked across water. Some vanished into the air like mist. Are those humans? Mila asked in disbelief. They're not what we remember, Vec said. They've changed. Or evolved. The drone zoomed closer, but before it could capture more, a beam of light shot from the ground. The screen went black. Probe destroyed, the officer confirmed. without warning. Meanwhile, deep under Earth's surface, in a hidden chamber, older than any recorded history, a voice spoke to a small group gathered around a glowing table. They are watching. The speaker was not fully human, not anymore. His body shimmered with faint light. His voice echoed like two voices at once one. Human, one machine. The galaxy sees our return, he continued. But they still see us as ghosts of the past. One of the others nodded. We are not ghosts. We are the future. They erased our story, another said. Let them now see the chapter they never expected. Back aboard Silent Edge, Vec received a final burst of encrypted data sent directly to his private console. Inside was a single image, a human face, but not one he recognized. The face was calm, ancient, and marked with glowing symbols. The eyes stared into the camera alive, aware and powerful. Beneath the image were 5 words. You were warned. Stay back. Vec felt the cold creep into his bones. He stood up and whispered, This is not Earth anymore. No, Mila said beside him. It's something more. And whatever it had become, it was clear of one thing. It didn't need the galaxy anymore. Asterisk the first encounter. The crew of the Silent Edge hadn't moved for hours. 12 human warships still hovered in orbit. Earth rotated slowly beneath, them glowing softly like a sleeping giant dot then. Without warning, a small vessel detached from one of the black ships. It was sleek, silent, and dark as space itself. No engines flared. No radio signals were sent. It simply moved, drifting toward the cruiser like it already knew where to go. Unidentified object approaching, Mila said quietly. Commander Vec stared at the screen. Do not fire. Let it come. The entire bridge held its breath. The craft docked with perfect precision. Not even a whisper of metal against metal. No request. No announcement. Just a soft pulse click. Click. Click like a heartbeat through the airlock. Vec nodded once. Arm yourselves, but do not raise your weapons. The doors opened. A single figure stepped through. He looked human, but not like the humans in the old records. He was tall, much taller than expected. His skin shimmered faintly like polished stone. His eyes glowed soft blue, and when he breathed, the air around him seemed to shift. His suit was simple smooth, silver black, without symbols or rank. Yet he carried himself like a general. Vec stepped forward. I am Commander Veek of the Galactic Union. You are aboard a Union vessel. You are standing on borrowed time. The man interrupted. His voice was calm. Too calm, everyone froze. I'm not here to explain, he continued, only to deliver this. He reached into his suit and placed a small crystal on the floor. It began to glow. Then he turned to leave. Wait, Vec said. You're human, aren't you? The man paused. I am what became of them. And then, without another word, he stepped back through the airlock. The strange vessel detached and was gone. No engines, no warp. It just vanished. Back on the bridge, the crystal projected an image into the air. It was a message. But not just words. It showed Earth thousands of years ago. Burning cities, crowds fleeing, a sky full of fire, alien fleets attacking, unknown weapons. And then it showed something else. A massive underground facility, humans entering cryochambers, machines building something deep inside Earth's crust, children raised in silent halls, minds linked to glowing cores. They weren't escaping war. They were preparing for survival. The message ended with one final phrase. We were not lost. We were growing. The council back on Valen Prime was shaken. The message is clear, the Chancellor said. They survived in secret. They evolved. And now, they believe we are a threat. They don't want war, one senator argued. Then why the warships? Another shouted. Why destroy our probe? Why return now? Because the enemy that once attacked Earth might be coming back, and the humans were preparing dash again. In a hidden chamber beneath Earth's surface, the same tall man stood before a circle of glowing figures. They were not fully solid. Some were machine, some were energy, some were beyond understanding. One voice echoed, "Do they fear us?" "They always have," he answered. "Then why give them the crystal?" Another asked, "Because fear will force them to choose, ally with us or stay in our way." Back on the silent edge, Mila watched the crystal replay the images again and again. She leaned toward Vec. "They're not like us anymore." Vec nodded slowly. "But maybe they never were. They trusted no one, not even the Union. Would you?" he asked. "If your home was burned, your people hunted, and the galaxy let you die?" She didn't answer. As Earth turned once more in the darkness of space, the human fleet finally moved again. This time they formed a line facing outward, toward deep space, toward the unknown. They weren't pointing weapons at the Union. They were preparing for something else. Something coming. And somewhere in the galaxy's darkest corners, something ancient stirred. A shadow moved across distant stars. It had seen Earth's light flare again, and it remembered the war it thought it had won. Now the game would begin again, and only one world stood in its way. The Lost War. The Galactic Union believed Earth fell to civil war. They believed humans had destroyed themselves, like a fire that burned too bright and too fast. They were wrong. And now that lie was about to shatter. Inside the crystal left. Aboard the Silent Edge, hidden deep within the code, Commander Vec found a locked memory file. It pulsed gently, protected by ancient Terran encryption. Mila worked for hours to break it open. When she finally succeeded, the entire bridge went silent. A voice began to speak. Not a person, but an AI, old, scarred, echoing from the past. "This is Archive Core Prime. This message is for those who survived, or those who dared return. If you are listening, then the war is not over." The hologram came to life. It showed Earth, 3,000 years ago. Skies full of alien ships, cities burning, mountains shaking, entire continents falling beneath black beams of energy. A name appeared in blood-red letters. The Hollow Swarm. No one on. The Silent Edge had heard of it. Mila leaned forward. "That's not in any Union record." "Because someone erased it," Vec replied. "The Hollow Swarm didn't fight like other enemies. They didn't conquer planets. They emptied them. They consumed everything life, energy, matter, until nothing was left. Not even dust. They moved like living shadows. Silent, endless. Cold. Earth had been their final target in the inner galaxy. But something had stopped them. Something terrifying. Something human. The hologram shifted again. It showed the Terran's last days. Earth's governments falling. Cities flooded. Families boarding underground arcs. Giant machines building tunnels, bunkers, ships. And then humanity's final decision. We cannot defeat them in the open, but we can disappear. We can become the storm they'll never see coming. They called it Project Eclipse, a complete vanishing act. A planet-wide retreat into silence and shadow. For 3,000 years, Earth waited. They trained in secret. They modified their bodies. They linked minds to machines. They planted false data into the Union's archives. And they watched. They watched the Union forget them. They watched the stars grow quiet again. They waited for the Hollow Swarm to return. Back aboard the Silent Edge, Mila sat frozen. "They didn't go extinct," she whispered. "They went dark. On purpose." Commander Vec felt the weight of it all. "Earth wasn't destroyed," he said. "It became a weapon." On Valen Prime, The Galactic Council played the same message in a locked chamber. Many senators screamed, "This can't be real. This war never happened. Why wasn't it recorded?" But one old voice answered, "Because the ones who survived chose to forget." A silence settled over them. Then came a second message, just discovered in the data. The hollow swarm has returned. Earth will rise first. Those who stand beside us will live. Those who stand in our way will fall beside them. In the far edge of known space, deep scanners picked up strange signals. Ships, hundreds of them, appearing from nowhere, not organic, not mechanical dots, something in between. They consumed stars as they passed. Life on nearby moons vanished in hours. All that remained were empty husks, floating in darkness. And behind it all, one word began appearing in fractured, ancient code across warning systems. Hollow. On Earth, in the depths of the core vault, the human commanders stood before a massive screen, showing the galaxy's edges lighting up with alerts. The leader, known only as Speaker One, spoke calmly. "It has begun." Beside him, a woman's face shimmered with energy. "The Union is not ready." "No," Speaker One said, "but they were warned. We gave them truth. Then should we help them?" He looked at the galaxy. "We will help the galaxy survive, but not by asking permission." On the silent edge, Vex stood before his crew. "The hollow swarm is coming. Earth is rising to stop it. And we have to decide if we stand with them." No one spoke. Then Mila said quietly, "They gave us a choice." Vec nodded. "Yes, and we can't pretend this isn't real anymore." He turned toward the view of Earth. They didn't return to take revenge. They returned to end what they started. Asterisk the Judgment Fleet. For days, the human ships remained silent in Earth's Orbit 12 massive black warships, still and calm, like shadows cast by forgotten gods. Then, without warning, they moved. They turned outward, engines lighting up in cold blue fire, and the stars trembled. Commander Vec stood on the silent edge, watching in awe as Earth's ships stretched into formation. Their sleek hulls reflected no light. Their movements were perfect, flawless, terrifying. Each ship bore no name, no flag, no visible weapons. But every Union captain watching knew the same thing. These were not exploration vessels. They were judgment ships, built not to speak, built to decide. A wideband message spread across the galaxy. It wasn't sent by the Union. It was sent by Earth. "This is Terra Command. The hollow swarm has reawakened. Judgment protocol is now active. All systems near the edge must evacuate. Interference will not be tolerated." Simple, direct, absolute. In the Galactic Council chamber, chaos erupted. "They threaten us. They cannot decide for all of us. They think they still rule the stars." But Chancellor Wheeler raised her hand, quieting the room. "No, they are not claiming power. They are taking responsibility." Someone shouted, "Responsibility? With warships?" "Yes," she answered, her voice shaking. "Because no one else is ready." On remote outposts near the rim, Union scouts caught their first glimpse of the hollow swarm. It wasn't an army. It was a flood. Ship-like creatures with burning black hulls, wings like bones, voices that cried in broken signals. Planets fell. Silent hours after contact. Energy fields cracked. Life was drained like water. One transmission came through before the signal went dark. They do not conquer. They erase. Back on Earth, the vault core lit up. Deep below the surface, giant machines long buried in silence began to awaken. Old warriors, half human, half machine, rose from cryo chambers. They bore no ranks, no fear, no hesitation. They were the judgment. Fleet's pilots chosen, enhanced, trained in forgotten centuries. Among them was the man who had delivered the crystal to the Silent Edge. His name was now a number, 13. He stood before a glowing interface and whispered, "Activate fleet." Authority. The lights answered him in perfect Terran dialect. Command accepted. Earth leads. The galaxy follows. On the Silent Edge, the crew watched as the 12 black ships vanished. No sound, no flash. They simply blinked out of existence. Where did they go? Mila asked. Commander Vec already knew. To the Edge. Within hours, reports flooded in. The hollow swarm had attacked a colony cluster near the Arkfold. The sky turned black. Defenses collapsed. Then Earth's fleet arrived. They didn't send messages. They didn't request permission. They just fought. No Union fleet had ever moved like that. The human ships weaved between enemies like dancers in a storm. Their weapons were pure energy, shaped like cutting light. Entire swarms broke apart under precision strikes. But it wasn't just firepower. Human warships had shields unlike anything the galaxy had seen. They bent time. They shifted light. Some looked invisible. Others became so bright they blinded the swarm. And they weren't just fighting to survive. They were fighting with purpose. To end it permanently. Back in the Yard Council chamber, panic turned to all. Live footage from the front. Lines showed Union ships trying to support Earth's fleet. Most couldn't keep up. Some were protected by the humans. Others were told to leave. A message appeared on Union screens. "This is not your war. But if you stand with us, we will shield your future." Commander Vec called his crew together. "You've seen what Earth can do," he said. "You've seen what's coming. No one else is ready. No one else remembers what this galaxy once faced." He looked at Mila. "We have two choices. Stand with them or stay behind and pray they win." Mila stepped forward. "Then let's stand where it matters." Earth didn't come to the stars to reclaim power. They came because no one else would. Their silence wasn't weakness. It was patience. Their judgment wasn't rage. It was protection. And now the galaxy would see what humanity truly became in the dark. Not lost, not broken, but evolved. Asterisk. The stars turned black. Not from nightfall, but from shadows that moved across systems like a plague. The hollow swarm had arrived. Across the outer rim, suns dimmed, moons cracked. Every living world fell silent. It wasn't just war. It was erasure. Entire. Civilizations gone within hours. But this time, Earth was waiting. The Judgment Fleet stood between the swarm and the heart of the galaxy. 12 black Terran ships faced thousands of enemy vessels. The odds didn't matter, because humanity had faced the void before, and it had returned stronger. Inside the command bridge of Ship Vigil 9, the pilot 13 stood calmly as alarms echoed. The hollow swarm was almost upon them. Behind him, Earth's Sci-Fi interface whispered, "Enemy count, 9,321 ships. Organic tech fusion. Direct life drain signature." He answered without emotion. "Begin final protocol. Activate the Guardians." Deep beneath Earth's surface, something ancient awoke. Not machines, not soldiers, but something between both. The Guardians, giant humanoid beings created from human DNA and dark matter alloy. Not alive in the normal sense. Not artificial either. Were born in silence, raised in secrecy, and designed to end extinction. One by one, they rose from deep vaults, stepped into massive launch tubes, and disappeared into the sky like comets. The Union fleets, watching from nearby systems, could hardly believe what they were seeing. Each Guardian was the size of a cruiser, fast, fluid, glowing with light from within their chests. They moved without ships, without oxygen. They didn't need either, because they weren't created to survive. They were created to win. The first battle shook space itself. Thousands of hollow swarm vessels surrounded the Terran. Fleet like a storm, the stars behind them vanished. Then, Earth moved. Weapons fired in perfect rhythm-like beams, gravity bombs, quantum slicers. But the hollow swarm adapted, absorbed, reformed until the Guardians arrived. They dropped from orbit like thunder, slamming into the enemy lines with pure force. One Guardian tore open a swarm mothership with its bare hands, releasing a pulse of light that melted nearby enemies. Another Guardian created a dome of shifting time, slowing enemy ships into frozen stillness, then shattering them like glass. On the bridge of the Silent Edge, Commander Vic and Mila watched in silence. It was no longer a battle. It was a warning. Is this what they became? Mila asked, voice shaking. Vec nodded. No. This is what they were becoming all along. In the heart of the swarm, something moved, a massive being, darker than anything seen before. A swarm queen, built from the remains of dead worlds. It unleashed a psychic wave across the battlefield. Hundreds of Union ships went dead, but Earth's fleet did not falter. Instead, the Guardians answered. 13 stepped forward, linked mentally, to all his fellow pilots. His voice echoed through every Terran ship. We died once. We were erased once. This time, we erase you. The final strike came from above. The 12th Terran warship, Judica Ultima, opened a core gate, an experimental weapon built from the first black hole reactor ever created by humans. A ball of compressed starlight formed at its bow. It fired once, just once, and the hollow swarm queen shattered into dust, her ships collapsing in waves of uncontrolled panic, confused and disconnected. The war ended in seconds. The galaxy watched in silence. Then, slowly, they understood. Humanity hadn't come back for power, for revenge. They returned because they were the only ones who remembered what had nearly ended everything, and they had prepared for it in the shadows, while the galaxy celebrated peace. On Earth, the Guardians returned to their vaults. One by one, they stepped into deep stasis again, without pride or victory, because this was not a war they wanted. It was a duty they were born for. Commander Vec's final message to the Council was simple. Earth has changed. Humanity is no longer a child of the stars. They are its protectors now. The Galactic Union declared a new era, the Age of Guardians. Earth was offered a seat on the High Council once more, but they didn't answer. They just sent one message, carved into crystal and delivered without words. We will speak when needed. Until then, stay ready. We always are. And so the galaxy moved forward, knowing that in the dark corners of the stars, if ever the silence grew too loud and the shadows came again, humanity would return, not as conquerors, but as the last line between survival and extinction. Asterisk.